Hello and welcome to a beginner's guide to PowerPoint 2013, presented by Log On to Learn. Today's topics covered will include a quick tour of the PowerPoint environment. We'll also create a blank new presentation. We'll add slides to a presentation. We'll insert a picture, work with SmartArt, and use transitions and animations. All right, so let's go ahead and let me give you an idea what happens when you actually just launch PowerPoint. So as you launch PowerPoint, what you're going to find is you're in our startup screen. And what this does is it basically gets you to, well, or at least gives you locations to where you can navigate to very quickly. So if you take a look here, we have our blank presentation, and that's typically what you would start with if you don't already have content somewhere. Microsoft also has templates, and you can use some of those templates. Now, depending on your organization, sometimes organizations will have a custom template already created. And if that's the case, then you want to start with that custom template. And that way you have the theme and the colors and the bullets and all that stuff kind of line up, and you have that kind of corporate look, which is great. So that way it doesn't matter who's presenting, you know it's from your company. So just check to see if you do have a template and that's what you should be using, or can you go ahead and start using some of the other tools that are available. I'll show you where they are, but definitely check to see which is the way that you should approach this as you create your presentation. Now, if you look over here, you can see I have some recent presentations that I have opened up. And this is really a nice little area for you to be able to find things very quickly. And if you notice this sample one right here, let me go ahead and I'll just kind of hover over it here. Notice that I have a little push pin right to the right side of this. Now this is a link, a shortcut to get to this particular PowerPoint presentation that I had opened up earlier. If I push the little button right here, what it does is it pins it. So next time or next week or whenever I need to grab this PowerPoint presentation, I have quick access to it. If I don't see the presentation and I haven't opened it, or I haven't opened it in a period of time, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open other presentations and navigate the network to be able to find it. So just to let you know, there's a lot of exciting stuff here. What they're doing is they're trying to direct you to where you need to go very, very quickly. Now I'm just going to grab a blank presentation. Now the thing is, when you're getting ready to present, there's a couple of things. Yes, you got to learn how to use PowerPoint. You got to learn how to use the interface and how to build slides. But you also got to think of what you're doing. What is the purpose of this? Is it a presentation that you're going to be part of? In other words, are you going to be standing up there and clicking the button and having the presentation viewed up there and having PowerPoint as like an assistant, a visual assistant for you? Or is it going to be some type of like kiosk where it just kind of plays automatically and people go up to it and they kind of watch your slides and see what you do and all that exciting stuff? Well, then that's a different type of presentation. And that's going to involve really constructing the presentation differently. And that's what I want to kind of point out is, what is your audience and really what are you trying to present? Because that's what we have to think about before we actually start throwing things on our slide. All right, so this is what I want to do. I want to create a small little PowerPoint presentation, adding slides and adding, of course, text, but showing you some of the other little things to do as well. And maybe some of the rules of thumb that you may want to kind of stick with when you're building your presentation, because some of them tend to be a little wordy. All right, and then you're standing up there and you're reading that whole paragraph to someone, and it tends to get a little boring if that's the case. So what we want to do is we want to bring a little excitement in there, and I want to try to hopefully generate that for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just give you a quick little tour of the interface and where certain things are located, so you have an idea of what we're going to be working with, and then I'll go ahead and I'll start creating this presentation. Now I'm going to click in this box, this placeholder right here, just so that it activates the ribbon across the top. So across the top here in the upper left is what we call the Quick Access Toolbar. Now the Quick Access Toolbar is your toolbar. You do whatever you want with it. You can add as many buttons as you want. So think about buttons that you use frequently or buttons that are difficult to find. That's what the Quick Access Toolbar can be used for. So you'll find some popular buttons such as save and undo and redo, which are fantastic. From the drop-down list on the right side of that, you'll see that we have other options available. And you can click on check or uncheck any of these, depending on what you would like to see up there. Also, we'll be talking about this ribbon in just a few minutes, but one of the nice features here is if you find a button that you like, and I'm going to tell you what, this is going to be one of your favorite buttons right here. This is one of my favorite, and I'll talk about this one in just a minute. But if I see this button and I really want to have access to it all the time, no matter where I am in the interface, just right-click on any button that you see. Now, this is true with Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, whatever Microsoft programs you're using. And look what my first option is. Add to the quick access toolbar. And sure enough, there it is. It's placed right up there. If I decide that I would like to remove it at some point in time, it involves a right-click and remove from the quick access toolbar. Now, we do have our File tab, and there's a lot of exciting things under the File tab that I just want you to be aware of. Because I've opened a blank presentation, Microsoft's saying, well, if you're coming here with a blank presentation, you're not printing it, you're not sending it to someone, so chances are pretty good that you want to open a new presentation or an existing one, and that's what it's doing. It's really kind of directing me to recent presentations that I've opened up. But if I'm in a presentation, what's going to happen is Microsoft's going to move me to the information location, and this is where you would defaultly land. And this is where you're going to be able to protect your PowerPoint or check to see if there's any issues, and maybe you close that PowerPoint out without saving it. I don't know why, but you did. You might be able to recover it here. Same is true with Word and Excel as well. I wouldn't rely on this 100%, but it is a backup possibility. So new again is going to look very similar to the start screen that we saw when I first started the webinar here. And then open, of course, is going to allow me to open, and you saw that just moments ago. Save, of course, allow us to save, and save as will give us options for directing where we would like to save it and name that particular file. Print is going to give us some different print options, and of course nothing too exciting here with a blank slide, but what we'll do is maybe we'll take a look at this a little bit later. And one thing that you want to know is there's multiple ways to print your presentation, because it depends on what you're going to do with your presentation. Do you need something for you as a presenter? Do you need something to hand out to people? Are you handing it out during the presentation or after the presentation? So there's a lot of different options as far as what you would like to print out, and you can see all this, and they will give you like a little live preview, and you can navigate through and see the presentation and how it will print actually before it prints, which is really nice. Share is going to allow you to share this presentation with others, and usually you're going to do that through the email process, and you can send it as an attachment, as a PowerPoint attachment, or you can send it as a PDF where everybody can actually open it up on any device. It doesn't matter if it's a smartphone or a tablet or a Mac or a PC, everyone should be able to open up the PowerPoint. Export is going to allow you to create a PDF version of it. You can also create a little video of it, which is kind of neat. And you can package for CD. Now what this means is you can actually grab it all into one file, put it on a thumb drive, or send it in your email, and then when you get to your destination, you can use that computer there. You also have some options, a few different options that are available if you want to do any advanced stuff to your screen. All right, so that's the File tab. Now we have tabs across the top. Now the tabs across the top will display a ribbon, and a ribbon has a large number of command buttons there. Now you probably are looking at all these and you don't have any idea what a lot of these buttons are used for, but that's all right, because what Microsoft does is they give us enhanced screen tips. So let me give you an idea what that means. So this Convert to SmartArt, I told you, is one of the best buttons out there. I just love this button, but maybe you've never used it before and you have no idea how it's used. Well, look what this is. It gives you an enhanced screen tip describing what it does. So what this does is it takes your boring bulleted list. Now, I'm not saying all your lists are boring, okay? I'm just saying the boring bulleted list, right? And you can convert it to a SmartArt piece very, very quickly. And matter of fact, you can actually see what it looks like before you choose what you want. So we're gonna talk certainly about that. One of the key areas here is, of course, creating a new slide, as we need to add more slides. But one of the things I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you, is you might add a new slide thinking this is what you wanted to do in that slide. But now you've changed your mind, and you may want to change the slide layout. So for instance, this is a title slide. I can come up here anytime I want, and I could change the slide to a different layout. Not have to get rid of the content, just move and shift the content around in the existing slide. So we'll do that a little bit as well, as your thought process kind of changes throughout the presentation process that you're going to be building here. Insert, we're going to be able to insert a lot of stuff. We're going to be able to insert pictures. We're going to be able to insert SmartArt. Again, this is the amazing tool that I think you're really going to love, and it's just going to bring your presentations up another notch. I'm telling you, it's going to be really amazing. Charts are incredible as well. We're going to be able to build the same looking charts you can do in Excel, or you can always copy and paste a chart from Excel into PowerPoint if you'd like to do that as well. When we get into design, now this is going to be if you do not already have a corporate kind of template that you're using, well, this is where we're going to be able to kind of customize and make our presentation look a little exciting as far as the backgrounds, the fonts, the colors. That's what this is really talking about here. And there's all different kinds of options available beyond that, and I'll show you what those look like. Transitioning is moving from one slide to the next. Depending on your audience will determine how radical you can get with this, okay? Most of the time you may want to be a little bit more on the subtle, but there are a lot of great cool features in here. But again, it really depends on your audience, and that's what we have to be careful with when we look at animations as well. When you animate, that means you're bringing something into your slide and it's being animated. Well, sometimes it's kind of crazy and it does a long loop-de-loop and all this stuff. And that may be cool the first time you do it, but as you start doing it, 10 or 15 times during the slide, your audience isn't going to think it's cool anymore. So we have to be, again, careful with some of these transition and animations. And again, it really depends on your audience. Slideshow is going to give us some options as far as hiding some slides, even rehearsing timing. So one of the things you can do is if you're going to go out to a trade show or whatever it might be, you may have a monitor at your booth, and you're just going to have it kind of cycle through some cool stuff about your company. Well, what you do is you kind of rehearse this or record this for how many seconds you would like the slide to be up, and then it advances to the next slide, and then you go ahead and you just kind of run that in a endless loop, which is really nice. If you do have dual monitors, you can also decide on, for instance, I have dual monitors right now, and what I'm able to do is put certain things on the monitor you can't see, and then I have the presentation material on the monitor that you are seeing. So you can decide and dictate where the presentation will be placed on what monitor. Review, if you do anything as far as people, multiple people have to, handle this and give their 2 cents and put all kinds of information in there. Well, this is what this is all about. It's kind of like putting that together. You got multiple people working on something and you want to come to a final conclusion, and this is the tools that you would use for that. And then view gives us a couple of different views, and there is a couple things I'd like to point out here. There are some great alignment tools now. As you put in a picture and grab another picture, there's going to be like little lines letting you know that you've centered the picture with the other picture. So those are great. But there's also other ways that you can do this as well. There's rulers that you can turn on and off. That might be helpful. There's also grid lines that gives you an idea of maybe to help you line things up. And then one that I really like is the guides. The guides is where you can actually drag the guides so that I can have this alignment over here. Or maybe I'm looking at these 2 square boxes, and this is where I would like to place my content. So these are all on, off, checkbox, uncheck, and you're good to go. There's a notes section here. Now the notes section is down at the bottom. So for the presenter, maybe what they would like to do is get a printout, or maybe you're the one that's going to be doing all the work, and you would like a picture of your slide, but you'd also like the notes so that you know what you're going to be talking about. This is where you can click on this and it will expand the pane. Now, if I hover over this, I can actually make it much larger. I can copy and paste stuff. I can type in text, and that works out really well. And then if we do the slide and notes printout, you will get both of those. So you'll get a nice little portrait page with a slide picture and the notes that you typed in or copied and pasted in there. And you can turn that on and off as well. Now what's going to happen is we're going to need additional tools throughout this whole process. Now what I did is I clicked in this placeholder, right, which looks like it's looking for some text. Notice there's a special tool called Drawings Tools up here. Now you're going to find this throughout. When we get into SmartArt, when we get into pictures, there is a special ribbon designed to help you with this task. Now sometimes what happens is you're messing around with this, you got your ribbon up here and you're all excited and you're working with it, and then you don't realize, but you've clicked outside of that location. Now, when you click outside of the location, we're not working in this area anymore. That's why there's no tab up there to help us format. As soon as we click back in, sure enough, the Format tab comes back, and I'm going to show you some pretty amazing things that are available in these ribbons as well. I'll just go back to the Home tab here. So this is going to be our slides, little thumbnails, and you can always click on those. You can always drag them up, move them one location or the other if they're out of order. Really easy for you to do that. And then, of course, we've got our main slide. Down below, you have your status bar, and this is going to give you some information. Notice there's little notes right here as well. That's another way to turn the notes on and off if you want to add those in. And then you'll see that we have different views here. Now, a couple of views that I do use quite frequently is, of course, the normal view that we're looking at right now. This one's called Slide Sorter. Now, this will be a little bit more impressive if we have more slides. It gives you a thumbnail view of all your slides in your presentation. And what this allows you to do is hide certain slides, move slides, delete slides, whatever it is that you'd like to do, but you kind of see your whole presentation versus just that one main slide. And then the other one that I really like is this one right here, which is called Slideshow. Now, when you're working on a slide, you really don't get the full impact of the slide unless you bring it right up to the full screen. Because right now we're working on the slide. Look at, you got behind the scenes here. You got the ribbon, you got the slide pane over here. Well, if you click this button, it gives you the full screen. Now, with nothing on it, it's not really that impressive. It looks like a big sheet of paper here, but notice that it takes up the entire screen, and I will be covering that one quite a bit as well as you're starting to work with it. Let's see what it looks like in presentation mode. And then we have our zooming scale down here where you can zoom in your slide that you're looking at, and then the last button over here on the right will actually snap it and make it fit the size of the window. So sometimes you want to zoom in as you're working on things, and then you may want to snap it back to the view that I'm looking at right here. All right, so that just gives you kind of a quick view of the interface. So let's get into some of these exciting features that are available. So one of the things we have is we teach full day classes here. And in our PowerPoint Level 1 class, we create a PowerPoint presentation right from scratch. And what it is there's this company, of course it's pretend, right? We are creating this company out in California. It's the Natural Escape Resort and Spa, and it's like they have golf course and tennis courts, and it's just beautiful, okay? And what we're trying to do is create a presentation to be able to sell this so that people will want to come to our resort, okay? So again, what are you doing? Are you selling things or are you educating people? See, there's a difference here, and that's what you got to kind of think about when you're doing this, okay? Because what we want is we want slides that impact. We want people to recognize this, feel this, not just a little smart, let's say a little piece of clip art on there that nobody really can relate to. I want related photos that you can relate to. And that's what we're going to talk about. And I want good quality photos, not some that are all fuzzy, okay? So let me go ahead and just type in the start of this particular slide here. So this is my title slide. I just type in. Okay, so I'm going to just type in here, see where it says click to add to subtitle. And if I hit enter, you can see the return. All right, so there we go. All you got to do is just kind of click out when you're done. So you have two placeholders right here. Not that that's all you can have. You can have placeholders anywhere you'd like, but you just have to insert them in there. So here's my title. So now what I want to do is I want to just go ahead and give you the quick, here's how you save it type thing. So we have a save button right up here, or you have the file save as well. And because I've never saved this before, I'm going to get what we call the Save As dialog box. From here, I'm going to probably go to the computer. I'm imagining that's where you're saving it, somewhere on the network or somewhere on your computer. And from here, you can see that I have some recent locations, but I also could browse out as well. And I would just come right out here, and I could go ahead and save this. And I'll just save it with a different number on it here. And basically, that's how it's saved. And all I got to do now is just hit the Save to Update, of course. Now, one of the things I want you to see here is look at the size of this this presentation right now. It sort of looks like a business envelope, right? It's very much a rectangle shape. All right, so maybe you have some older presentations that you were using before. Now, if that's the case, you probably were using what we call the 4:3 ratio. And here's what I want to show you. I'm going to open up a presentation because I don't think you want to see me type anymore. That was pretty bad, wasn't it? So I'm not going to type much today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a presentation that I have already at least added in some text. Okay, so we'll make this a little bit easier. And what I want to show you is this. This is the old traditional layout for a PowerPoint presentation. It was called the 4:3 ratio. So it's almost square. Now, let me show you what this looks like if I present this. Now, as far as presenting goes, under the slideshow button, there's a button that says from beginning. Now, what I would recommend you do is, because you're going to be doing this a lot, is you need to right click on this and add it to the quick access toolbar. All right. And notice that it's up here. Now watch as I click this button. Now take a look at the screen. Do you see some black on each side? Well, that's how your presentation is going to look, because you know what? Every new projector, every new TV is not a 4x3. That's the old big tube TVs that were 4x3s, the old monitors that were square. We don't have those anymore, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to escape out of here. This is the easiest way, the escape key on your keyboard in the upper left. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to change it to the newer one. So let's say you have an older presentation, but you'd like to kind of modernize it a little bit. Now, doing this could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. Depending on if you have pictures and what you have in there, it may stretch things out. So we'll have to see how that looks, and you'll have to give it a try. But under the Design tab, there's a button called Slide Size. Now what this does is it gives us here's the standard 4x3 that used to be all the way up to the 2010 interface. But now in the new 2013, they're like, no, nobody looks at a 4x3 anymore. It's all 16:9 now. So we can go to the widescreen and notice how much wider it is. Actually, let me go back just for 1 second. Let me go back to that widescreen. Okay. And let me just go into presentation mode here and see how that fills up the entire screen. All right, so you're going to be presenting, and believe it or not, it's going to give you more room. The pictures are going to be able to be bigger. Your text is going to be able to be bigger. It's much better. So that's what I would recommend, is try to go with the 16:9 if you can. Obviously, test the equipment you have and see which one works out best. But it's better to choose now than later, because once I get pictures in there, it might distort the picture a little bit and stretch it out, and that's not going to be a good thing. All right, so let's just show you what I have in here. I have a title slide. I have a slide here that shows that we have some exciting things at our resort that I would like to, point out to you here. Now, the thing is, if I'm going to be the presenter and I'm going to use PowerPoint to project up on the screen, then I don't want PowerPoint stealing all my thunder. And this is what could happen. And a lot of people do this. They spend hours building the most incredible PowerPoint ever. But basically, you can turn it on and you can walk away because it does all the work for you. And if that's the case, there may be times that is what you want. But if you're the presenter, don't let PowerPoint steal all your thunder. So if you take a look at this, what I might do is I might, let's say, get rid of some words here so that I can be all excited to tell you about the swimming pools and the restaurants we have. But if I point this out and I just project this, you're going to read this while I'm talking about swimming pools, right? That's what you're doing right now. You're reading them, just what everybody else does, right? And what's going to happen here is how can I get excited? There's 6 Olympic-sized swimming pools. You already know that. You just read that, okay? And you know how many restaurants we have. So one of the things you can do is get all that information out. Yes, type it all in there. It's very wordy. That's fine. Okay, get all of your thoughts out on the slide. Then, is there any way that we could maybe get rid of some of the words? Could we do something like this? And that gives us the chance to talk a little bit more about this. So I'm just going to give you some ideas. Now, there is a kind of a rule of thumb for bullets. No more than 7 and no more than 7 words is kind of the rule of thumb. Now, I'm not saying you can't have 8. If you have 8 words, you're done. No. And you have 8 bullets, that's wrong. No, I'm just saying that, again, just a kind of a rule of thumb is we want to make sure that these bullets, they can actually see them. So I'm just going to delete these right here. So what I do is I go ahead and I put in all kinds of information. My whole thought process is right there. But then I say, you know what? Maybe what I could do is something like this. And the reason why I want to do this is because a picture is worth 1,000 words, but I don't have to type 1,000 words in, right? So that's what I want. I want a nice big picture in here. And how am I going to do that? See, basically what happens here is when you add a new slide, and you go up into the Home tab and add a new slide, you have different slides that are available. And the typical one that people will use, and I'm saying this is probably one of the best ones here, is the title and the content right here. So the title you put in here and the content, you would choose what type of content you would like to use in there. But the problem with it is maybe I want a nice big picture right here. So what I can do is I can modify the current slide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to Layout, not New, because New gives me a new slide. Layout changes the current slide. And if I just go ahead and click on layout, and if I choose, let's say, to content, look what it does. It actually gives me one placeholder on the left and one placeholder on the right. And notice how this placeholder is set up. It has a room for adding text. So if I want another bulleted list, I could do that. It also has little icons here. And this is where I can add or be directed out to certain things that I would like to insert. A table, a chart, SmartArt, and so on. So that's really exciting stuff. So now I'm going to be able to add a picture in here in just a few minutes. So again, what I want to show you is maybe fewer words is better. Now you see, you're supposed to know how many swimming pools you have. PowerPoint shouldn't have to help you with that. You should know that, right? You're the presenter. So this gives me a little bit of excitement that I can generate, because I can say, we're going to talk about swimming pools. And I'm going to show you a nice, beautiful picture of a swimming pool. And we have 6 Olympic-style swimming pools. So I can help sell that much better than just a bunch of words that PowerPoint has. So that's what I want you to know. You are in control. You are the presenter. This is your assistant called PowerPoint. Okay, so just be aware of that. I also have this one right here, which is a restaurant, and I'm thinking, it would be really nice if I put a restaurant picture here. Okay, and then so let's go ahead and try some of this stuff out. Let's go ahead with the picture and see how that all works. So there's really a couple different ways to put a picture or insert a picture in a slide. One is you may have a placeholder like I do, and I could click on the picture icon. And if I'm not sure which one it is, I just hover over it and it tells me. Now, the difference between clicking this picture icon and clicking this picture icon is the placement of the picture. If I click on the one that I'm looking at here in the upper left, it's just going to throw it in here somewhere, probably in the center of the slide, which is okay. I mean, you don't have to have a placeholder for a picture, but if you would like one that fits this square box perfectly, or as perfect as it could be, that's where you would click on this button right here. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and I'm going to grab a picture. So I went out and I got a few different pictures here. And what's this one? This one is swimming pool. So I'm going to grab this swimming pool. Now I'm grabbing this one on purpose. What I want you to see is this is more of a square picture. This looks more like a landscape type picture, doesn't it? And how's that going to fit in there? Well, let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on that and bring it in. Now, because of this wider ratio that I'm looking at, the 16:9, I might be able to get away with this. But let's say I want to make it larger, but I can't make it too much larger, because look at the sides. I mean, it's way out here. So here's what I'd like to do. You can crop a picture. I can take a landscape picture, make it more of a portrait picture, and then I can make it larger. And I'm going to show you the shortcut to make sure you guarantee that the picture stays in check. We don't want to stretch her out or shrink her up. We want to make sure that all 4 sides change at the same time and keep that aspect ratio in check. So what I'm going to do is when I click on the picture, notice I get a Picture Tools toolbar here. And notice the Format tab. A lot of great options. And what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to zoom this in just a little bit more so you can see the picture. And hopefully, as I hover over certain things, you'll get an idea of what this live preview thing looks like. So let's say, for instance, the picture is not quite perfect. It's dark, it's light, it's blurry. Well, blurry might be tough, but it may be a little grainy or something like that. We may be able to correct that a little bit. Now, the key here is if you're going to use a picture, make sure it's a good picture. If it's a bad picture, don't even use it at all. There's nothing worse than some kind of grainy picture that's projected up there that's 4 feet tall now, okay? So we don't want to do that. You got to get a high quality picture or it's just really going to take away from your presentation. But as I hover over these, now these are going to be very subtle changes, so you may not be able to see them as you're viewing here. But as I start doing this, I think you will notice some changes here as I change the brightness here. Okay, so yes, we can brighten the picture, we can darken the picture, we can sharpen the picture. What about colors? You can certainly choose different color options as well, depending on, again, what you're trying to do with your particular picture. We even have artistic effects, which are kind of exciting and can really change the dynamics of the picture as well. And again, you can just hover over these to see what they're available. Now, I think that every picture should be framed. Think about the pictures in your house. Do you put tape on the back side and just kind of stick them on the wall, or do you put them in a frame and put them on the wall? Well, there's a big difference between that. I mean, as far as the way they look. And that's the same way here. There we go. Oops, let me undo that. There we go. Just wanted to bring that back. Apparently I grabbed one of those artistic shots there, and I didn't really want that in there. So like I was saying, is pictures, you want to frame them. They just look so much nicer. And guess what? We've got what we call picture styles. Now I may have to back this out just a tad so you can see it a little bit more clearly here. As I hover over these, you can see the frame that's appearing around the picture. You can change the color and the thickness of the frame. All of that stuff can be done very quickly. Now, PowerPoint has a lot of choices when we're working with things. And they give us these two drop-down arrows right here. Now, the bottom drop-down arrow shows you all of your choices. But sometimes it'll cover up your picture or whatever you're working on. So what you may want to do is click the middle button. And that will just cycle you through the next row. And see how I hover over these and I can now see what they're going to look like. Click on the next row. And I can see, again, what that's going to look like. So I have a lot of great options there. Now, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and crop this so that I can then figure out which frame I would like to use. As I click on the picture, notice there's a cropping tool. And when I click on it, things look a little different. You'll see that there's like these little black bars. And when I hover over them, I get a push bar. And what it does is it actually pushes and cuts this portion out. So I'm going to make this more of a portrait. I'll show you why here. All right, so I've kind of trimmed that up a little bit. I'm going to hit my crop tool again, and now you can see it's more of a portrait picture. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to allow me to make this a lot larger, which is great because I want the picture to be really large so that people can see it and see how exciting our pool or whatever the picture is. Now, the thing is, do not ever, 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 okay, grab this location, this location, this location, or this location when you're working with pictures. Because if you do, that is not the way the girl looks, okay? And here, no, that's not it either. So again, pictures, do not do this. This is what you need to do with pictures. You always grab a corner, okay? Now, if I do just grab a corner and drag, you'll see the picture becomes larger, which is exactly what I want to do. But if I want to keep it dead center, and make sure that all four sides grow at the same time, keeping that aspect ratio in check, here's what I do. I hold the Control and the Shift key down at the same time, click and drag, and notice the picture getting larger. Notice it getting smaller. And I don't know if you can see this or not. Let me see right there. Do you see that little dotted line just above it? It's kind of showing me where the alignment is for the bulleted list. So if I let go of my mouse, it's lined across the top here perfectly. All right, so you're going to see some of those alignments. If I drag it over just a little bit here, you can see the center mark right there. And you might even see the border edge mark over here on the right as well. So these are little guides that are going to appear as you're dragging objects on your screen. Now let me go ahead and I'll just add a nice little frame here. Maybe we'll give her a frame like this. Yeah, we'll do a frame like this. Okay, so there we go. We've got a nice little frame around there. And again, one of the things you're going to want to do as you're working on your presentation is to grab this button down here called the slideshow, and you're going to be able to view it in the full size. Now, I do want to do another feature on this too, because again, we can make this even a little bit more exciting. You see, we got swimming pool, restaurant. Yeah, those are kind of boring words. They just don't look that exciting, do they? So one of the tools we have is to convert your bulleted list to SmartArt. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to click on this. Now, I want to let you know when you click on, let's say, a word or whatever it might be, an object, there's kind of like two different ways that you click on things. One is like this. Notice that insertion point sitting right there between the swimming pool. Okay. And you notice the dotted line that's following this right here. Okay. That's the actual box, right? The holder. As I come up to the top, I get a four-headed arrow. If I click once, it becomes a solid line. That's selecting the entire box, okay? When I have an insertion point in there, I'm editing text. That's where you're going to be able to edit and, of course, modify, add, or whatever you need to do. But I really want to do something as a whole here. I'm not quite sure yet what, but I'm going to be able to see what options are available. Because I did select this, I have a special tab across the top. Now, what I can do here is I can come over to the shape styles, hover over, and maybe give it a little bit, maybe a border would look nice, or some other features. I'm going to click on the drop down here, And I'm going to hover over, and look, I can even do something like this. Give it a little bit of shading, add some color, or maybe a little bit more excitement to it. So this is something that you certainly could do. But what I'm thinking is I want something more graphical, more illustrating, that type of thing. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got it selected, the nice solid border. I'm going to go to the Home tab, and under the Home tab, convert to SmartArt. I'm going to click on the drop down, and I'm going to hover over some of these examples and see what I get. And that looks pretty good. So as I'm hovering over them, notice some of the choices that are available. Again, this is all live preview, and there are a ton of them. So even if you don't choose the right one, as long as you get one of them, you're going to be able to change your mind as much as you'd like. Okay, so I'll just go with the standard list here because that seems to be a pretty decent one. Now, when I click on this, okay, and I do have it selected, notice I get what we call SmartArt tools. I get two tabs. I get a design tab and a format tab. Now the design tab is really kind of set up for me to add more or less, whatever I need to do, or move the order of them, right? If I don't like the order of these, I can certainly move this one down or up or whatever I need to do. But I also have other choices. So they're saying, you know what, we have similar list options for you. Since list was the one that you chose, why don't you just kind of hover over a few of these and maybe something like this will work out. Now take a look at this particular one right here. Do you notice there's like a little tiny picture in the middle? This is a picture one where you actually click on this and you go out and find a picture and it inserts a picture in there. So that's kind of cool. And it automatically sizes it and puts it right in there. I'll show you that in just a second. So let me just see if there's any other options that might be a little bit better. That's kind of a neat new type one. I always like to do things that are a little bit different rather than the old standard that everybody does. This is kind of a nice one as well. So there's quite a few options available here as well. So you can see another little picture one as well. All right, let me just undo that and get back to where I was. There we go. Now other things that you can do. Well, you can change the colors. You can also come into the SmartArt styles. SmartArt styles, again, you can hover over this to see it, live preview. And it gives you different options as far as your SmartArt styles go. And again, I'm just hovering over these. I'm not actually clicking on anything at this point. Now, when you get into format, what we're talking about is formatting something like if I click on the swimming pools, I could hover over it and see how I'm just changing that one independently. So a couple things can happen with SmartArt. You can automate them so that they come in one at a time if you want, like a bulleted list as well. You could, again, I could click on these and I could give them any color I want. So maybe I have certain company colors that I would like to use. I can go into what we call the more fill colors and I can put in the RGB number. Okay, so that's what I did on our slide for the Log On to Learn one when I first introduced. I actually took the cap that we have on our Log On to Learn icon and I used this tool. Check this tool out right here. This is something new in 2013. If I want to shape fill this, instead of grabbing a color, I can grab the eyedropper. The eyedropper, I can go anywhere in my presentation and when I click, that's the color it's going to grab. So that's pretty cool. It does the color for you. And you can do that with your font or you can do that with your fill color as well. So that's that new eyedropper, which is really nice. So that's exciting. All right, so now we've got ourselves a nice little list here and we have our picture here, which is really nice. Now, one of the things that I wanted to show you is we can talk a little bit about transitions and all that stuff, but again, that really can get a little crazy, a little hectic. I want to show you something that I did here. I'm thinking that I'm going to be giving a presentation and it's going to have this list here. And what I want to do is I want to be able to show you the swimming pool picture. But then I want, when I talk about restaurants, wouldn't it be cool if I have a restaurant picture here? But do I really want this to disappear and another one to come in? That's a lot of animation and people get to see all that stuff. And again, I don't think it's as smooth. So let me tell you what's really smooth and I'll show you this. I got a sample one that I just did here. I want to show you. All right, so here's a picture that I put in. And what I did is I actually right-clicked on this picture and I was able to send the picture back and have the title and our location move forward. And then what I did is I kind of filled in the boxes with the formatting tool. But here's what I really want to show you. Let me go ahead and launch this. Okay, so here is the picture that we're talking about, and we're talking about swimming pools. So now what I want to do is I want to talk about restaurants. So watch how smooth this is. That was pretty smooth, right? I mean, you didn't see one disappear. It just like a one just appeared, right? That restaurant picture just appeared. Here's the secret. I don't do the animation because it's a lot of extra work and it's really not worth it in this case. What my suggestion is you have this with maybe no picture in it, right? A slide with no picture, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? You're going to take this slide and you're going to copy and paste it 5 more times. So you have 6 copies of this slide. You're going to put a picture in each one of these. See how we have 2 and 3? They're identical except for the picture. When I click with my mouse, it goes to the next slide, but nobody knows it does because the transition is up here. So one disappears, the other one appears so quick that nobody even sees the transition. It looks like the picture just changes right quickly before your eye. This is a slick tool. Yes, you're going to have 6 slides here, but it's going to make your life a lot easier, and it's going to be a lot nicer because as we go to the guest to staff, we can just click again. Boom, there's the picture of our helpers that are going to help you right out, and our golf course and our tennis courts and so on. So some really exciting stuff there. That's how I do it. I think that's the best, easiest way for you. Now, what I want to do is I want to get into SmartArt and grabbing SmartArt as a whole. So take a look at this. This is a slide that has a title here that you can type in, and it has a placeholder. Now, the placeholder has a SmartArt icon. I can also go up to the insert, and I can hit SmartArt here as well. Now, when I go ahead and hit SmartArt, it opens up the whole box of SmartArt. And there's over 100 different options for you. Do you have a process? Do you have a list? Do you have a relationship? Do you have a hierarchy structure? So here's the structure of our company or our department. Here's who's at this level. Here's who supervisors at this level. Our workers are right here. You can have all of that illustrated using this particular tool, which is pretty nice. So you can either scroll through these, or if you know kind of what category you're looking for, you can click here. And then if you click on it once, you get a nice thumbnail with a description of what this would be typically used for. So I'm going to grab this particular one. And let me see, let me grab a different one. I'm going to grab this one here. And let's say our members have access to several different locations that we have. So we have swimming. And notice how it's resizing automatically. You're going to have access to golf. The spa, of course, everybody's going to like that one. And we also have a gym. Now, maybe I'm looking at this and I'm like, you know what? I don't think that's exciting enough, but maybe there is some other options here. Again, notice I can hover over this and I can look for some different options. This is kind of a neat looking one as well. And notice I have color choices and I have different choices here as well. And I can hover over them just to see what they're going to look like. All right, so SmartArt is really amazing. You can take some existing content, convert it to SmartArt, or you can build SmartArt from scratch. And again, you have different tools to help you add more shapes, more bullets, or remove, or whatever you need to do in the SmartArt. We also have charts, and charts are pretty amazing as well. So you can build the same chart that you can build in Excel, but it works a little bit differently because if you build a chart in Excel, what you do is you actually select the range of data that you would like to chart first. Well, here you don't have any data to select. So what's going to happen is when you click on the chart, it's going to ask you what type of chart you would like. And you can even preview it to see what it's going to look like. And then you hit OK. So the chart will appear, but also a small version of an Excel spreadsheet. And this is where you're going to need to type in some information. Oops. So here's our staff, and I'm just going to have a chart showing you our staff. And you can see that chart changing as soon as I move off from the cell. Now, do you notice I got this fourth quarter? I don't want the fourth quarter in there, but that just automatically happens. So if I delete it, what you really need to do is you see this little square box right here. If you hover over that, there's a little arrow, and you want to make sure that you're just selecting just the range that you would like. And you can copy and paste from Excel into here if you'd like as well. When you're done, you just close this right out. So after you're done, just close that right out. And now you have a whole variety of options under the design and formatting, which is really exciting. There's some great features here. Like look at this one, for instance. This one puts the percentages in for you, has a legend over here, even shades it, and it looks really, really nice. This one, again, is another really nice one as well. But you can go in and really change it up any way that you want. You can change your chart at any point in time you want, and you also can format your chart just by clicking on a particular location and just hovering over, and you can see what those changes will look like. So charting is pretty amazing, and one of the new features in 2013 is that we have additional tools along the side here to help us with, whether it's the data labels or the legend, where you would like things to be located. So rather than have to come up here and try to figure out where they are, they're now located right here on the side. So as you're working with charting, you're going to be able to find those additional formatting and filtering options available right here. Now, I did want to just cover just really quickly the transitions and animations here a little bit. So let's say we want to transition our slides. Okay, so what do we do? What does that mean? Well, when I click on with the mouse to go from one slide to the next, how is it going to change? Is it going to push up like this, which is pretty simple, right? Now, also, depending on how you're presenting this, now look, I'm using the internet. So guess what? My transitions are not going to work as smooth as somebody's is going to work with as you're presenting, let's say in a conference room or something along those lines. So again, take that into consideration. Something a little less animated is better when we're talking about the web. So I mean, we have a lot of different things where it flips. And again, this may be a little bit delayed as you're looking at that. So again, you want to test your environment as we're looking at this. But there are some pretty cool, exciting ones that are out there. But again, depending on your audience, I'd be really careful. From here, you have the apply to all. That will apply this particular transition to all your slides. So let's say you did this, and your boss takes a look at it and says, what the heck did you just do? No, you got to turn that stuff off, okay? So here's how you're going to do it. You're going to come back here under this drop down, you're going to choose none, and you're going to apply to all your slides, okay? Now, what about animating a particular object? Like, let's say I want to bring this into the presentation. Well, I need to click on it. And when I do, you'll see that I get a special formatting, the animations tab here. Now this will show me a quick, should give me a quick little preview. I guess I'll have to click on it. There we go. And you can see that just flew in from the bottom. And here's my animation number 1. Now, if I click here, I could choose what direction I would like it to move in from. Okay, so let's take a look at what the slide would look like. If I click on the full view of the slide, you'll see that because this is not animated, it automatically appears. But as I click once with my mouse, you'll see that's when the object comes in. So you can time objects so these come in one at a time, meaning you have to click every time. Or you can have them come in automatically. There's several different options that are available. I'm hitting the escape key just to get back out of there. There's this thing called the animation pane that actually opens up here, and it allows you to go in and modify how the animation is going to work and what is it going to take for it to appear. Are you clicking? Is it coming in from previous? Is it coming in after? So there's a lot of different options that are available, but this little timing piece right here can eat up a lot of time for you just getting it set up correctly, especially if you have multiple things in there. So again, don't spend days creating this PowerPoint presentation. Spend days making sure you have your information correct and you know what you're going to say. Not with your PowerPoint. I mean, you do want to have a decent looking PowerPoint, but again, I think you want to spend your time so that you know what you're talking about rather than have this incredible looking PowerPoint presentation and you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, for me, that's I would rather have you be able to educate me rather than the PowerPoint educate me. So, but anyways, I just want to let you know that. Also, if we just take a quick look at the file and print here, This will look a little bit better because I actually have something in the slide here. And if we look at our different options here, you can now see here's the notes page. If I was the presenter, I may want this with the notes that are down below here. And if we also take a look at, let's say, 3 slides, you can see this is a great one for handouts because now people can actually write in as we're talking about a particular topic, subject, and whatever's on this slide. All right, so there's some really great options for you there. Thank you for watching this video. To find more videos on PowerPoint 2013, be sure to visit us at logontolearn.com. Educating the world anytime, anywhere.